Have you ever had a tough day with stress, sadness, or anxiety? Now imagine feeling that way every single day. But instead of getting therapy or medicine, you're locked away in a dark, crowded asylum. You aren't treated with kindness, you're just hidden from society. This was how mental health was handled in America less than 200 years ago. If someone was considered crazy, they were often removed from their families and placed in large institutions, out of sight and out of mind. Today, mental health is one of the biggest health topics we face. The National Institute of Mental Health reports that about 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. live with a mental illness. That means nearly every family member is touched by it in some way. That's why it's so important to look at how treatment has changed over time. By looking back, we can see how far we've come, the mistakes we've made, and what still needs work. In this speech, I'll take you through 4 main stages of mental health care in America: the early asylums, the rise of medical treatment, the shift toward community-based care, and what treatment looks like today. In the 1800s, the main response to mental illness was to place people in asylums. These were large institutions where people were sent if their families couldn't take care of them. The problem was that these places were rarely built to help people get better. They were often overcrowded, dirty, and unsafe. Patients could be tied down, locked in dark rooms, or left alone for long periods of time. There was little understanding of mental health, so there was no real therapist or treatments offered. One important person during this time was Dorothea Dix. She was a teacher who saw firsthand the horrible conditions inside these institutions. She fought for more humane treatment and pushed for states to build hospitals that were cleaner and safer. Her work did make some improvements, but even with reforms, asylums continued to be underfunded and overcrowded. Many people still suffered in silence behind closed doors. In the early 1900s, the medical field started taking a bigger role in mental health. Instead of just housing people, doctors tried to find ways to directly treat the brain. Some of these treatments were extreme. Electroconvulsive therapy, or ECT, used electric shocks to trigger seizures. Insulin shock therapy gave patients large doses of insulin to cause comas. Lobotomies, which involved surgically cutting into the brain, were used to calm patients who were considered too difficult. At the time, these treatments were seen as progress. People thought they might finally be finding cures, but many of these procedures were dangerous and caused long-term damage. Some patients were left unable to function and others even died. Still, this era marked a turning point. It showed that people were at least trying to treat mental illness as a medical problem instead of only hiding people away. In the 1950s, a major breakthrough came with psychiatric medications like Thorazine. These drugs helped control symptoms of schizophrenia and other serious conditions. For the first time, patients who might have spent their whole lives locked away could now live at home or in similar facilities. In 1963, President John F. Kennedy signed the Community Mental Health Act. The idea was to move people out of massive state hospitals and instead give them treatment at local mental health centers. This was supposed to be a more humane and supportive approach. Unfortunately, the plan didn't fully work. While many people were released from institutions, the community centers that were promised were never built in enough numbers. Funding was cut, and patients were often left without the care they needed. This created new problems. Some people ended up homeless, others got caught in the criminal justice system because there was no proper services for them. Instead of being treated in hospitals, they were treated up in jails. Today, mental health care looks very different from the past. Instead of asylums or risky brain surgeries, people have access to a mix of treatments that can actually help. Therapy is one of the most common forms of treatment. Talking to a trained counselor or psychologist can help people learn coping skills, work through trauma, and manage stress or depression. Medications are another major tool. Antidepressants, mood stabilizers, and antipsychotics are widely available and help millions of people live more balanced lives. We also have community programs and support groups. These give people a place to connect, share experiences, and get help in ways that don't always involve hospitals. Another big change is that the stigma is not as strong as it once was. More celebrities, athletes, and everyday people talk openly about their struggles with mental health. Campaigns encourage people to seek help instead of staying silent. Still, there are serious problems. Not everyone can afford treatment. Insurance often doesn't cover enough. Rural areas and low-income communities still lack mental health services. Even though progress has been made, there's still a long way to go. Thank you.